I would like to compliment FICCI for inviting me, and I extend my best wishes for the successfully organizing of the conference on a very important theme. India is a developing economy with limited resources, a huge low and middle income population, and demographic and cultural differences. We believe that society should be livable, workable, and sustainable for all. We are committed to an all inclusive development through by improving the ease of living for our citizens. Transport plays a crucial role in the overall development of a country. Globally, India has the highest rail line length and the second largest road network, which carries millions of passengers and tons of goods every day. To fulfill everyday transport needs of a large population, we are focusing on the development of efficient and affordable public transport system such as metro rail, rapid rail transit, monorail, BRT, intra and intercity bus services. With increasing purchase power and ease of travel, the number of personal vehicles like cars and two-wheelers are increasing rapidly. With rapid urbanization, industrialization, growth in business activities, there is a tremendous growth in the number and frequency of different transport modes and their movements. Unfortunately, 70% of the energy requirement of the Indian transport sector is fulfilled through imported fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, and other petroleum products. India consumes about 30% of the world's fossil fuel needs. We spend rupees 8 lakh crore on their imports, which accounts for 33% of the nation's total GDP. The maximum consumption of petrol and diesel as fuel, which comes to 98%, is through road transport, which emits 18% of carbon dioxide emissions in India. Diesel is a very hazardous fuel for the environment and human health. It emits about 71 kilograms of CO2 per gigajoule, which is the highest among all available fuel types. There is an immediate need to decarbonize the transport sector and make it sustainable in the economy, ecology, and environment point of view. Our government is clearly and gradually stepping ahead on the policy of adopting import substitute, cost effective, pollution free, and indigenous fuel for the transport sector. We are promoting the use of clean and green alternative fuels such as ethanol, methanol, biodiesel, bio-CNG, LNG, HCNG, electricity, and hydrogen fuel cell as a transport fuels. The government is firm on complying to the corporate average fuel economy, that is CAFE regulations, where automakers are required to keep average CO2 emissions less than 130 grams per kilometer till 2022 and below 113 grams per kilometer thereafter. The approach of alternative fuel has multifaceted benefits such as saving in oil import bills, ensuring energy security, reduction in air pollution, and a boost in rural and agriculture income and low-cost mobility and employment generation in the country. I am giving a special push for ethanol as a fuel. The biggest benefit that it is a clean fuel with very low greenhouse gas emissions, and the additional income is directly diverted to the farmers, which empowers the rural and backward sector. The government has recently launched the E20 fuel program, which has an important step towards encouraging the use of bioethanol in 20% blend with petrol by 2025 in India. It is expected that with 100% use of 20% blend of bioethanol, we will be able to save rupees 30,000 crore on import of fossil fuels. Further, the use of ethanol blended petrol decreases emissions such as carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons SC, and nitrogen oxides by 40% to 50%. I have also launched a two-wheeler bike by TBS which runs on 100% ethanol. This can be a clean and green substitute for our huge two-wheelers demand in the country. We are planning to introduce flex fuel vehicles soon, which allow the operation of the vehicle on 100% bioethanol or 100% petrol. Flex fuel technology is already available in Brazil, Canada, and USA. and we can replace the IC engine at a nominal cost with a flex engine. According to a recent study in Brazil, hybrid flex engines using 100% ethanol emit 77% less greenhouse gas emissions as compared to Euro 6 compliant IC engines. Particularly, 100 ml of bioethanol is equivalent to 1 liter of petrol. It costs about 60 to 65 rupees per liter. Our Prime Minister has recently launched 300% ethanol pumps, and the Petroleum Ministry is now promoting the setting up of a dispensing units by private entities. Currently, the ethanol economy is of rupees 20,000 crore, which I am targeting to raise more than rupees 2 lakh crores. We are taking inspiration from countries like Brazil, which have been using ethanol in their transport industry for more than 60 years. They have a compulsory blend of 27% ethanol in petrol, which is highly commendable. We have allowed the production of ethanol from surplus and damaged food grains such as rice, corn, in addition to sugarcane juice, B-heavy and C-heavy molasses. This will give additional income to our farmers. Currently, the sugar industry contributes to 90% of ethanol demand as a blended fuel in the country. On the roadmap of the E20 program, there will be a requirement of 116 crore liters of ethanol by 2025. It has been planned to supply 60%, that is 550 crore liter ethanol from sugar-based distillers, and about 740 crore liters will be produced at food grain-based distillers annually. The efforts are going on for capacity expansion and the establishment of new distillation plants to fulfill the ethanol requirement as a blending fuel in the country. Bioethanol can also be a sustainable fuel for aviation purpose. It can provide 80% saving on greenhouse gas emission and can be blended up to 50% with conventional jet fuel without any modification. This is already successfully implemented in Brazil. It is already has been tested and approved by the Indian Air Force also. The Brazilian Air Force has also used ethanol in their fighter jets. Electric mobility is gaining good momentum in the country. E-mobility is the future for us, and it will be an important tool to develop pollution-free transport. The government intends to have EV cells penetration of 30% for private cars, 70% for commercial vehicles, 40% for buses and 80% for 2 and 3 wheelers by 2030. There is a huge domestic demand for small electric vehicles like e-two-wheelers, e-autos, e-rickshaws, e-carts, e-bikes, e-bicycles, which also have great employment potential. As per a recent report, electric two-wheeler sales in the country stood at 13,345 units, witnessing a 229% month-over jump and a 836% year-over leap in registration. These are extremely magnificent numbers. The e-commerce business delivers taxis, small carts and goods vehicle, forest vehicle are largely shifting to electric vehicles. Recently, I had the opportunity to launch food stalls on e-carts. We have millions of people who are using hand carts or thela for selling street food. Electric carts can bring a revolution for them. Our focus is on the generation of clean electricity as transport fuel using renewable energy sources such as solar, tidal, wind and biomass. Central and state government in India have been taking various initiatives to promote manufacturing and adoption of electric vehicles by framing a favorable policy in the form of incentives, GST exemptions, loan facilities, PLI and FAME schemes. Battery operated vehicles have been exempted from payment of fees for issue on renewal of registration certificate and assignment of the new registration mark. This has been notified to encourage e-mobility. I am personally pushing for research on alternative battery chemistries such as sodium ion, zinc ion batteries, which would further reduce the cost of EVs in India. Mass production of electric vehicles, indigenous battery technology and localization of EV parts will lead to the same capital cost in the comparison to petrol and diesel versions today due to economic of scales. The EVs do not require any artificial push in India. The economics of EVs is such that the per kilometer cost is so low that petrol or diesel that people will automatically shift towards these options. As per a study, the average operating cost of an EV is rupees 1 per kilometer, that for diesel is rupees 7 rupees per kilometer and petrol it is rupees 10 per kilometer. Through the Go Electric campaign, we are working on spreading awareness about the benefits of e-mobility and its early adoption. We intend to shift public transport modes on electricity. FAME 2 schemes focuses on supporting electrification of public transportation and aims to support through subsidies approximately 7,000 e-buses, 5 lakh electric three-wheelers, 55,000 electric cars and 10 lakh electric two-wheelers. In the current union budget, the government has allotted an outlay of rupees 18,000 crore to support the augmentation of public bus transportation services. In the EV mission, the Niti Aayog has inspired 25 states to come up with EV policies, out of which 15 states have already announced state EV policies, targeting early penetration of EVs and development of public charging infrastructures. For charging infrastructure, domestic charging and lease models for EVs are becoming a popular option. Solar-based electricity generation cost is very cheap and ensures a zero carbon emission cycle. We can fulfill the domestic EV charging through a rooftop solar system. Such domestic charging facilities at malls, parking lots, commercial places, at homes are making EVs more adoptable and affordable. A potential pilot project is being planned to install an electric highway between Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, which will facilitate the movement of heavy-duty trucks and passenger buses on electricity. NHAI is also developing electric vehicle charging infrastructure along the highways to promote the use of electric vehicles. If EVs penetrate to 40% for the two-wheelers and car segment and close to 100% for autos and buses by 2030, we would be able to reduce crude oil consumption by 156 million tons worth rupees 3.5 lakh crores. A battery-operated electric vehicle would be the best option for the short distance travel for personal, public and e-delivery purpose within a city limit. We are committed to having 100% electrification of Indian railways by 2030. Green hydrogen is the zero carbon fuel and sustainable alternative to coal, oil and gas-based energy sources. 70% of green hydrogen production costs come from electricity cost. Hence, surplus electricity from renewable energy sources can enhance green hydrogen production economics. Green hydrogen can best utilize India's most important natural resources that are abundant, such as solar and wind resources. Research performed by IIT Madras on hydrogen fuel cells is very interesting, where they are trying to generate energy from sea-based salt water and solar power. Further research is also underway to capture hydrogen from ethanol, biogas and biomethane with the development of affordable technology for electrolyzers, hydrogen storage and dispensing mechanism, and the cost of green hydrogen will come down below rupees 100 per kg. India is focusing on hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle technology exclusively for heavy long distance trucks, buses, marine and aviation application and in railway. The technology for hydrogen run train is successfully piloted in UK and Germany. The global ammonia market today amount to about 250 million tons and will grow exponentially. Among ammonia is one of the safest hydrogen carrier and is heavily favored as a green aviation and marine fuel. Within proactive collaborations between innovators, researchers, entrepreneurs and government, the green hydrogen has the potential to drastically reduce CO2 emission, reduce energy imports, and save precious forests. Methanol is another fuel of importance and its uses for marine application, power generation, and the automotive sector is planned through the efforts of Niti Aayog. Methanol can be produced using the green hydrogen, which can be used as an alternative clean fuel for diesel run buses. Major bus fleets will be benefited from low cost methanol and save huge capital expenditure on the conversion of a diesel bus. LNG as a fuel for long run tracks and buses is economically viable. The cost of conversion to LNG compatible engine is rupees 10 lakh, which can be recovered within a year. The generation of bio-CNG from agriculture waste will solve the problem of air pollution caused by the burning of agriculture waste in the fields. The use of bio-CNG as a vehicular fuel is also encouraged in India. I am happy to mention here that my constituency, Nagpur, is the first city in India where almost all biofuels are commercially tested and adopted in the transport system. Today, the city has witnessed 100% ethanol buses, bio-CNG, LCNG, LNG, biodiesel run vehicles and autos on LPG. In the future, the choice of fuel will be with the consumers. I see that in the time to come, consumers would have the option of choosing fuel based and application of type of vehicles. It will be completely market driven. For example, the private vehicles can be used on fuels like ethanol and electric. Public transport can be used on electric and CNG. Heavy and commercial transport can shift on LNG, and electric and hydrogen is such as a fuel which can be used across all appreciations in due course. Further, as India is a highly cost conscious market, the mass adoption of particular alternative fuel is dependent much on its affordability, reliability, and accessibility over a life cycle. Many fuels can definitely have technical viability, but having economic viability is more important. I am looking forward to your progressive recommendations and suggestions on how we can work together to create the right set of policy frameworks and nurture a win-win ecosystem for sustainable mobility in the country. I will request you particularly for FICCI that in Delhi our air pollution problem is because of rice straw, popularly known as parali. Now it is a proven technology that we can get 4 ton of parali rice straw is giving 1 ton of bio LNG. So we can convert that bio LNG into CNG. So this can be a good option, economically viable option. All Punjab, Haryana and part of Uttar Pradesh, where we can think on the line to start manufacturing industry making bio LNG, bio CNG from rice straw. Even we can use biotechnology for generating biomass, and we can use that biomass for making bio CNG and this even for green hydrogen also. With these few words, I once again thank you FICCI for providing me this opportunity to share my perspective on alternative future fuel. I wish you all the best, and I will request you. Now the technology people are available in India. Lot of research is going on. Successful industries have already started. The people like you and particularly the FICCI, if you can give a good presentation to the concerning people and giving them a good technology and approach for that, and the government policy framework also is our responsibility. On the basis of that, we will make India clean from pollution. The air pollution, water pollution and sound pollution is the biggest problem for the country. The ethics, economy, ecology and environment. These are the important 3 E's for the country. But the ecology and environment is going to resolve the problem. At the same time, we are going to encourage our economy to create more employment potential in rural, tribal and agriculture area, which is socially, economically, educationally backward. So now the bamboo plantation is moving towards a big production in the country. We can use it for that. So my suggestion is for development of rural, tribal and agriculture sector. In one part we can think on that line, and other way in the part of machinery particularly we can think. Now after 10-15 days I am going to launch electric tractor in the country. My first tractor, diesel tractor, we have converted on bio CNG, where we have a saving of 1,25,000 rupees per year. That can be a great saving for the farmer. At the same time, in the construction equipment machinery and agriculture equipment machinery, my suggestion to FICCI that you should arrange a special program, and where agriculture minister and I am also in charge minister, we will be present there, that how we can convert the construction equipments on the alternative fuel that is going to save the cost. And at the same time in agriculture also, in place of diesel, we can adopt the alternative fuels, even for generator, even for tractor, even for harvester, and that can be a great thing for the country. It is going to be a great saving for agriculture. So my suggestion is sector wise, technology wise, area wise, opportunity wise, there is a huge potential. It is really a good contribution from FICCI that you started this subject. 100% this is the time for the country that we need to take this subject to the people. I am really happy. I am giving my all thanks to you and thanks to FICCI authorities, and once again giving my best wishes to all of you for taking this initiative. I will always supporting all this issue, because this is my dream from 2009, and when I was talking about all this thing, the ideas was out of box. No one was ready to support me. But today it is a great pleasure for my mind that the people by and large, and professional people like you, like FICCI and all the organizations, they are now supporting it. It is really give me a very great pleasure to my heart. Once again, thank you very much. Namaskar.